Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell. Welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas list that we put out each year, where we give you 12 games in 10 different categories that you can use these to tell other people about games that you might be interested in, or if you're looking for some good ideas to shop for other people. We try to pick games that we think are available online and different retailers. A great one that we recommend, of course, is GameNerds.com, but just check them out. This video itself is sponsored by the World Series of Board Gaming. And this is an event that's happening next year between September 28th and October 2nd at the Bally's Hotel in Las Vegas, where they're going to have 16 different events. And the winner of the whole shebang is going to get $25,000, a bracelet, and the title of this championship event. There's going to be one winner of each of these 16 different games. Two of the games that are in there are Carcassonne and Wingspan, very popular games, very strategic games. And that's the category we're talking about today, is strategy games. And so we're going to tell you about 12 games that if you like playing strategy against somebody else, then these are the games for you. Now, note, we do two lists. We'll have another one going up today for advanced strategy games. They're even more involved. These are a little bit lighter than the advanced strategy games, but for me, I'm interested in the games on both lists. But here we go with strategy games. Let's get started.
All right, let's start off another great list. I'm recommending Khora, Rise of an Empire. This is a fun surprise for me. This is from Yellow Games, has started their expert series of games. This one is an action selection game. We're going to be building up a few different tracks, different parts of your civilization. You can do a somewhat military-style conquest, an economic or a civic kind of paths that are going to build up your little part of your civilization, your Greek culture, and you're going to be trying to vie for points at the end of the game. But I think this does a couple of really clever things mushed up together in ways that I haven't seen. I love tracks in games, and if you like that, if you like moving up and getting different types of incomes and victory points and set collections, I think this is one to look at. It's also a very nice, easy on the eyes kind of a game. It's very pretty. I think it's striking in the right ways, and then also plain in the areas where it needs to be, so you can always kind of decipher the information pretty readily. I like this one a lot. So if you're looking for a good strategy game, Khora, Rise of an Empire, can't go wrong with it.
All right, next for a strategy game is Maglev Metro.
I've always loved train games, but for a while they kind of have stalled out for me, right? This game brings it back for me. It makes it more modernized. It basically, you have all these different passengers that you're picking up and delivering back to the places they want to be. There's a bunch of different kinds of passengers, but there's also these robots that you're picking up and delivering as well. The robots are really going to do these special abilities for you. They unlock certain things. They allow you to kind of modify things so you can maybe upgrade your train so that you can pick up more people, drop off more people. Maybe you can go farther distances. Maybe you can rearrange things that more easily. I thought that was a really clever way of doing all that. It uses a recessed board, so that way you have a little bit of nothing that moves around, which is really important in this game. You don't want the pieces to move around. And on top of that, it has these clear acrylic tiles, so that way multiple people can build their paths in the same exact spot. Because of the clear tiles, you can still see through it all. I thought that was really clever. This game has a great production, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of strategy needed to win this game.
Next one is Fairness. Now, I do like engine building, tableau building, like resource management type of thing, and Fairness seems to have it all.
Yep, I think what I really like about Furnace is that the engine build side and the cards that you're getting are very simple. There's only 4 or 5 different types, so you don't have to wrap your mind around crazy combinations of cards, and then that makes the game focus on its auction mechanic. And it's a really smart little auction mechanic, because a lot of the time you want to intentionally lose the bid, because the higher you bid without winning, the more bonuses you get, and that makes for a fascinating auction mechanic.
And that's right, because you don't usually like a free form auction in general, but this one, you have such a limited token, so you have to manage them really well.
Yeah, it's not a true auction. I think it's sort of a semi-auction-y worker placement to a large extent, but it's simple and it's thoughtful.
Next up, let's talk about Everdell. See, I prefer my strategy games with a lot of pizzazz and ideally covered in gorgeous artwork. And Everdell gives me just that. It's this fantastical woodland gathering of creatures in which you are going to be gathering characters, putting them out in front of you in your tableau, building specific buildings. Sometimes those characters tie to those buildings. If you manage to do that and build the building first, you can bring that character over to your little area for free. You are going to be doing some worker placement, gathering resources, and then spending those things to build buildings, hire the characters. You are going to be recruiting new ones as the seasons turn and trying to get points not just from the characters you have in front of you, but specific goals along the way. There's plenty going on here. There's always more to do than you can possibly accomplish, and I like that too. Once the game is over, you feel like you could have kept going, but you're very satisfied by what you built in front of you. Everdell is a gorgeous, engaging game that plays at a nice clip and is going to satisfy a lot of strategy gamers. So check that one out, Everdell.
My pick for this list is Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is a pool building, push your luck type of game. So you're essentially, for the pool building, or bag building, you are trying to gain ingredients, right? And there's these little chips, right? They're either like pumpkin and spiders and stuff, all kinds of like weird ingredients that you could place into your pot. You're putting it into your bag, and then you're gonna shake that bag up. You're gonna pull out ingredients that you've been placing into your bag this entire time and put them into your pot. However, there are these like little cherry bombs, I think, that could make your pot explode, which is horrible. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's kind of not so great either. And so you're trying not to do that, but you're also like strategizing, like, okay, what is the best combination of ingredients that I could put together in my bag to make my because ultimately what you're trying to do is gain the most points at the end of the game. So it's like, okay, how can I get the furthest around this pot that's stirring, and how can I get the most points and the most money to buy more ingredients? So that is my pick for this list, Quacks of Quedlinburg.
The next game we're recommending is Res Arcana. This is a game where you're taking on the form of these mages, and each person will have a unique mage with a special ability. What makes this game unique is it's kind of a race to 10 points, and you only have a deck of 8 cards in which you can either draft or just randomly get. So you're basing your strategy off this tiny deck of cards, and how those cards come up is how your strategy will kind of change throughout the game. It's engine building. So if you have a bunch of cards that you know can generate these red resources, but you don't get those all at the same time, you might need to amend your strategy to get points other ways.
I think one of the coolest parts about it is the first player token is actually a point as well. So you can end the game by passing first and grabbing that first player token to start the next round with. But if you have that 10 points and nobody else at the table has 10 points, you win. So it can be a really tight race to the end. I've seen that over and over and over again. It's so good.
You'll get points from getting these places of power, which can kind of compound points with your engine building and also with these monuments by spending gold.
Yeah.
Lots of ways of getting points. First one to 10 is the winner.
All right, next up we have Four Gardens, which is a gorgeous looking game with this extremely impressive centerpiece component of a spinning pagoda. Now, while that may seem like a bit of a novelty or even a gimmick, and maybe it also is a very functional component. It allows you to gain resources, which is essentially what you're going to be doing in this game. You're going to be doing some resource management and set collection. You are trying to build these panoramas in front of you, which again incorporates this gorgeous art. And when you utilize the pagoda, what you're trying to do is gain different types and a different number of resources that you're then going to use to turn in to complete these panorama cards. However, you are very limited in the number of resources that you can get, and so you have to very carefully maneuver your way and try to be as efficient as you can in gaining those resources so that you can complete those objectives, gain some additional powers or points, and try to ultimately win. Beautiful, beautiful game. Very actually simple to teach, which is another bonus for this game. The amount of rules to the amount of game is a really nice ratio. So there you have it. Beautiful set collection game, Four Gardens.
The next strategy game we're going to look at is Clank in Space, which happens to be my all-time personal favorite game ever, so forgive me if I rave. Now, Clank in Space is a deck-building adventuring game in space. You get to move around through point-to-point movement on this great modular board with a little space meeple, and you're trying to steal an artifact and get back out of there. Now, this is the first game that ever said, this is what we want you to do, but we don't care how you do it. And I find that so fun. It's so incredibly fun. So basically, you're building your deck, which allows you to move around. You'll move through this spaceship, and you're trying to do different little objectives, but your also main goal is to get that artifact and to get out of there before your opponents do. While you're moving around, you're making noise, which is called clank, and it can get you captured. The strategy in this game lies in the balance. So you're making clank, you want to be making your opponents make clank, you want to be getting card points, you want to be getting loot points, you want to be getting artifact points, and you want to be getting the heck out of there. If you're looking for a strategy game that's also crazy amounts of fun, Clank in Space might be the game for you.
The next game we're recommending is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. This has a lot of similarities with its bigger brother, Terraforming Mars, in which you are trying to build up an engine of cards. There are some cards that are like one-time use. There's some cards that will give you actions that if that phase comes up, you can do those actions. There's also cards that are like one-time effects and things like that. You're trying to build up this engine so you get money to buy more cards and to get more resources. Cards will have points on them. You're also terraforming some things via points and these basic actions. And you're getting points all throughout the game doing that. You're trying to terraform Mars by raising up the oxygen and the heat and laying out oceans. And then once that's done, that triggers the end of the game. You score up your points.
I think it's really cool how the players around the table actually determine what gets activated. So you all kind of 1, 2, 3, you play the card that you really want to activate. Sometimes you play something that you think the person next to you is going to activate based on kind of what they're doing. And then so you'll play something else so that also activates. So there is that kind of other people leading what your turn's going to actually do.
Sometimes you really want that phase to be activated, so you're like, I have to play this one. But whichever one everybody plays, everybody picks one phase, everybody at the table will be able to activate the phases that other people have activated.
Cool game.
Right next on the strategy list is Nidavellir, which is just super fun to say. Nidavellir.
In this game, it's a bidding game. You have these different bidding chips, but in this game, you actually get a chance to upgrade your bidding chips. What you're doing is you are drafting this different army of dwarves, essentially. There's kind of a set collection thing happening. There's several different kinds of dwarves, and you want to kind of narrow in on these different kinds of dwarves so you can give them special abilities, so you get a lot of in-game points, but also you want to upgrade your bidding chips so you can get better ones the next time around, and maybe get some points out of them too at the end of the game. So you really have to weigh and measure what you want to do. Do you want to get better chips? Do you want to get better dwarves? And you want to take a certain dwarf so that no one else can have that particular dwarf, and there's that collection, but maybe it hurts your score, but it hurts them even more. So Nidavellir has a really cool balance of all the different mechanisms and scoring that I enjoyed quite a bit.
Another great strategy game is Isle of Cats. It is the perfect game for that cat lover or tile laying lover in your life. It also adds in card drafting to give it that boost from a family game into a strategy game. So in Isle of Cats, you'll be drafting cards in order to rescue cats, get special abilities, or have extra scoring at the end. After that phase, you'll be rescuing cats from the island and placing them in your boat. Now, the difference with a normal tile placement game here is that the placement in your boat varies. So you're not exactly just trying to fill your whole boat, you're trying to fill it to meet certain conditions for scoring, or you're trying to fill it to meet rooms. Another great part of the strategy is obviously the drafting. So you're trying to take cards that you need while also making sure you're not giving too many great cards to your opponents as well. You might also want to be looking at their boat and seeing what kind of things they might be looking for and trying to keep those just so you can burn them at the end. It can get a little bit of a take that kind of feel to it, but it really is what you make it. You can just play your own sort of multiplayer solitaire type of game, or you can have a lot of player interaction. The other great thing I love about this game is it also has a family variant to play, so you can have that high level of strategy for the older players, and you can also add younger players in. If you're looking for a great strategy game this year with a fun theme and really great artwork, Isle of Cats might be the one for you.
That is a bunch of great games, but the last one we're talking about is Fantastic Factories, which really is a fantastic game. And this is a game in which you have a factory and you're trying to get some cards in front of you, building a little tableau. These cards are worth points at the end of the game. You're also trying to collect victory point tokens. And as you do this sort of thing, you are rolling dice and placing these dice on cards and getting resources based on the numbers. But then when you put other cards out, this card might say, put a 3 on it. And when you put the 3 on it, you get more resources. And you're building like a little engine, well, a factory go figure. But it's fast, it's easy, there's a lot going on, and it has some cool, almost like deco artwork that I really enjoy. This is a game that I've just had a lot of success with over the past years. I teach people because every game's going to feel different because you build a little bit of a different grouping of cards, but it's not complicated. You sit there and go, I want this card because this card lets me change a die from a 6 to a 5. This card says if I roll 2 of the same dice, it gives me 3 iron, which I can then use to build this card. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on, and I really, really recommend you check out Fantastic Factories. And that is the end of another list here, folks. Strategy games. As I said, check out our sponsor, the World Series of Board Gaming. We have a link in the description below. And go check and find these out online because they're really good games. And if you think these games are too light, check out our advanced strategy list, which is going up today also. But until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and you've been watching 12 Days of Christmas Strategy Games.